He didn't believe in haunted houses. He believed in loose wires and old breakers. He believed in drafts that moved doors and pipes that knocked at night. So when the basement light started turning on by itself, Mark told himself there was a simple reason. He lived alone in a small rental on Birch Street. One story, a narrow hallway, a half-finished basement with a washer, a dryer, and a set of wooden stairs that creaked no matter how carefully you stepped. The previous tenant had left behind a workbench, a pegboard with hooks, and a dozen jars with screws and nails. The only thing Mark added was a new bulb in the ceiling, bright white, the kind that makes a basement look cleaner than it is. The first time it happened, it was 3:09 a.m. Mark woke to a slice of light under his bedroom door, and that quiet feeling the air gets when electricity hums. He walked to the kitchen, then the back hall. The basement door was closed, but light leaked from the gap at the bottom, like water. He opened it slowly. The chain switch in the center of the basement was on. Bright, empty room. Nothing moved except a dusty spiderweb trembling from the warm air. He told himself he must have left it on after laundry. He pulled the chain, watched the room drop into dark, shut the door, and went back to bed. He slept badly, but he slept. The second time, it was again 3:09 a.m. He checked his phone to be sure. Same minute, same quiet hum, same slice of light. This time he went down the stairs, one hand on the rail, the other out as if he could feel answers. He looked at the pull chain. It swung, but not like someone had just touched it, more like it always swung a little in the night air. He changed the bulb to another brand the next day. He told himself some bulbs leak light or flicker. He told himself a lot of things. On the third night, when the light came on right at 3:09, he stood at the top of the stairs and did nothing for a full minute. He listened for footsteps or breathing, or any small sound that was not his. He heard the refrigerator click off, and the house settle. He finally pulled the chain and went back to bed with the uneasy feeling that he had agreed to something. The next morning, he bought a plug-in timer and an indoor camera, not because he believed in ghosts, because he believed in evidence. He put the camera on the workbench, facing the stairs. He set the timer to cut power to the light at midnight and restore it at 6 a.m., just to test. If the light still came on at 3:09, it wouldn't be electricity doing it. At 2:58 a.m., he woke on his own. He lay there and watched the minute turn. 3:05, 3:06, 3:07. The house felt like it was holding a breath. 3:08. He could feel the grain of the sheet under his fingertips. 3:09. The light under the door. He went straight to the basement with the camera feed open on his phone. The app showed a black and white image of the stairs. The timer should have cut power, yet the bulb was on. He reached the top step and hit pause on the live feed. He scrolled back 30 seconds, then a full minute. At 3:08:29, the frame was dark. At 3:08:31, the frame blinked bright, but not from the bulb. It brightened, like the camera had corrected exposure. In the next second, the pull chain moved. Not a swing, a short, clean tug. He felt the cold climb his back, even though the basement air was warm. He backed away. He shut the door gently, like any sudden movement would wake something. He didn't sleep after that. He made coffee when the sky turned gray, drank it on the back steps, and watched his breath fog. At noon, he called his friend Jason, the kind of person who knew how to fix strange things with normal tools. Bulb turns on at 3:09 every night, Mark said. Timer or not. Maybe the timer's bad. I saw the chain move. Jason was quiet a beat. Could be air, he said. Return vent, negative pressure when the furnace cycles. Make a small vacuum that pulls the chain. At exactly 3:09, Jason laughed. You want me to come over, or you want to keep arguing with wires? They tested the furnace, ran the dryer, slammed doors. The chain didn't budge. Jason replaced the pull switch anyway. New string, new mechanism. They ate cheap pizza on upside-down paint buckets and called it solved. That night, Mark fell asleep on the couch with a movie on. At 3:09, he woke, already standing, like his body knew the time. The light was on. The chain on the camera feed jerked down and up. He paused the recording on the exact frame where it moved. In the edge of the frame, above the concrete half-wall, something like a line crossed the screen at ankle height. A shadow line? A cable? He zoomed. Pixels. Guesswork. He told himself this. If someone was in his basement, they had a way in that wasn't the door. He walked the outside of the house at noon the next day, slow and careful. He found the 2 basement windows, small, ground level, each with rusty latches. Both looked closed from the inside. He knelt and touched the dirt by the glass. Dry. No shoe prints. No marks. The neighbor on the right, an older woman who dried her sheets on a line, called across the fence. "You doing okay, honey?" "Just checking for leaks," he said. She pointed at the alley. "You keep your back gate locked? Folks cut through sometimes." "Yeah," he lied. That evening, he did lock it. He moved a bag of flour from the kitchen to the top of the basement stairs. He felt foolish and smart at the same time. He sprinkled a thin line across the top step. He sprinkled another line at the bottom, thin, even, a little curl in the middle. He set the camera to motion alerts. He turned off every light and sat in a chair in the hallway where he could see the slice under the basement door. He told himself he would catch it in the act. He woke at 3:11 with his head at an angle that hurt. The slice of light was under the door again. He checked the time and felt something mean in his stomach. He had missed it. He went slowly, picturing fingerprints on brass and dust in the chain, and how a simple thing could ruin you. He opened the door. The flour on the top step was smooth. He went down slowly. The line on the bottom step had a mark in it, a break, as if something had slid across, not stepped. He moved the camera and played the clip. At 3:09:02, the frame brightened. At 3:09:03, the chain dropped and rose. At 3:09:04, the bottom step showed a faint line like a string pulled over flour. He stood in the basement and said out loud, because sometimes words make you brave, "If you're down here, I'm calling the police." Silence. Then the heater clicked on. He laughed at himself in a way that didn't feel like laughing. He called anyway. The officer who came was kind in that tired way you get when nights are made of other people's fear. She checked the windows, the door, the ceiling. She wrote in a small notebook, "Timer cutting power, but light still comes on," she said. "Could be wired around. This is an old house. I saw the chain pulled. You have the video?" He showed her. She watched it twice. "That's a chain moving," she said. "I can't say who pulled it, but if you're worried about someone getting in, add a stick-on sensor to the door and windows. Call us if it triggers, and keep the gate locked." After she left, the house looked different. Not safer, just more mapped. Like the rooms had names now, and they could remind him of them. He installed the sensors. He changed the camera angle higher to catch more of the room, not just the stairs. He tied a bright red thread to the pull chain, so any movement would be obvious. He slept with shoes by the bed and his keys in his pocket. At 3:09 the next night, the basement camera caught the red thread drop and swing once. The door sensor didn't beep. The window sensors were quiet. The backgate camera showed no motion, but the camera inside recorded a faint shape where the stair stringer met the wall, low, then gone. When he scrubbed frame by frame, he saw the line again. Not a line. A fishing line. Clear. Thin. Pulled from the far corner where a drain pipe ran up to the ceiling. He turned on every light in the house and went down with the camera pointed to the corner. He didn't see a line now. He did see a gap behind the built-in shelf, 2 inches wide, where the back of the shelf didn't meet the wall. He would never have seen it if he wasn't looking for it. He set the phone to record and slid his hand behind the shelf. He touched air. Cool, moving air. He went outside with a flashlight and followed the wall to where the foundation dropped. He found the clean-out cap and the old coal chute, bricked up, but the mortar around one side looked softer, newer. Someone had patched it badly. Someone could unpatch it well. He called Jason. There's a crawl space tunnel. I think it connects to the basement behind the shelf. Jason exhaled. That's not great. I think someone used a line to pull the chain at exactly 3:09. Why that time? I don't know. Call the landlord, now. The landlord came the next afternoon with a man who said he was a handyman, but looked like a man who could be anything. Quiet, patient hands. They removed the shelf. Behind it, a rough square in the wall, just big enough for a person to squeeze through if they didn't mind dust and scrapes. The handyman shined a light in and whistled softly. Crawl space, he said. Goes to the old coal chute, then under the porch. You could move through here if you knew the path. The landlord offered to let Mark out of his lease. Mark said he would think about it. He did not want to start over. He wanted to finish this and then sleep without thinking about angles. He changed his routine. He set his phone to record audio by the basement door at night. He moved the indoor camera so the pole chain was big in frame again. He set a second small camera to watch the drain pipe joint. He bought metal vent covers with tamper screws and installed them even though the basement had no vents. He wanted the house to know it couldn't surprise him anymore. At 3:09 the next night, the audio picked up a soft click followed by a small drag. The camera on the chain captured no movement. The camera on the pipe joint captured a shadow across the gap that was there and gone in half a second. At 3:11, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Are you awake? He did not answer. He blocked the number. He put the phone face down and sat on the floor by his bedroom door listening to the house be a house. At 3:18, another text from a different unknown number. Your chain is too short now. He stood. He went to the basement door. He opened it slowly. Darkness. He stood a long time, and then closed it again. Morning came with sun like nothing had happened. He took coffee to the back steps. He looked at the fence and the neighbors, porch and the ramp under it that led to their crawl space panel. He called the landlord and told him he was moving out by the end of the month. You don't have to, the landlord said in a tired voice. We'll add more security. I want to, Mark said. He packed slowly, one room at a time. He bought plastic bins and labeled them in a neat hand because order makes time feel less sharp. He turned off the basement breaker entirely at night. The light could not come on if the circuit had no power. On his last night in the house, he stood at the top of the basement stairs for a long time. The door was open. The dark smelled like laundry and concrete and old projects. He felt stupid and brave and sad all at once, like a person saying goodbye to a place that never cared he was there. He went to bed with the cameras still up, almost out of habit. He did not plan to check them. He planned to wake early and go. At 3:09, his phone buzzed with an alert that he did not see. The basement camera, with no power on the light circuit, recorded a frame that brightened for a second, not from the bulb, but from a flashlight moving across the floor. In that 1 second, the frame caught two things: a hand reaching up for the chain from the dark under the stairs, and, behind it, a face. Not a monster, a man, calm, focused, wearing a respirator mask that turned his breathing into small, measured sounds. He looked up into the lens, like he was checking exposure. Then the light went out, and the frame went black. The alert came and went. Mark slept. He woke with the sun, and the sense of being watched by nothing. He loaded the car. He took one last bag to the trunk, and locked the house from the outside with the key the landlord would have back by noon. He drove 2 blocks and pulled over. He opened the camera app to wipe the system and saw the 3:09 alert. He watched the clip on the side of the road. He watched it twice, a third time. Every part of him went cold and awake. He did not go back to the house. He called the police from the car. He sent them the clip. He called the landlord and told him he needed to replace the entire basement door, the frame, the crawl space, the drain access, the windows, and then burn the floor plans. He moved to a different part of town and took a second-floor apartment where the only thing under him was a restaurant storage room with a metal door and a manager who liked people to know it. He installed cameras anyway. He taped a hair to one vent anyway. He slept with a light on the first week, then the second. Sometimes when he wakes in the middle of the night for no reason, he checks the time. He smiles when it says 1:14 or 4:22. He lies very still when it says 3:09. He didn't keep the cameras forever. He didn't keep the texts. He kept one thing: the red thread from the basement pole chain, tied in a loop, in the back of a drawer. He tells himself it's a reminder to trust his eyes. He tells himself it's a souvenir from a solved problem. He tells himself a lot of things. When he throws laundry in the machine in the daylight and hears the pipes knock like pipes knock, he breathes out and laughs at himself the way people laugh when they don't want to cry. When he walks past a house with an old coal chute, he looks away. When he hears a neighbor say, "The light in our basement keeps turning on by itself," he forces himself to say, "Probably just a bad switch." He never says the part that sits under his tongue like a stone. It isn't the light, it's who learns your house, and how long they choose to live inside your map, and it is not haunted. That would be kinder